If appointed as a deputy judge president, how will you deal with a sexual harassment complaint in your court?
Sexual harassment complaint in my court. Firstly, it has to be reported, and once it has been reported, I'll have to deal with it in my capacity as the deputy judge president. Well,
if the judge president delegates the task to you,
if the judge president delegates the task to me.
Are you satisfied with the answer, Commissioner?
Maybe
I'm looking at your face.
I'm really not satisfied, Judge. Maybe if you can just elaborate further as to what steps will you take to deal with this complaint?
What steps will I take to deal with
Perhaps, in fairness to the candidate, not that I'm absolving him from answering the question, I should mention what I raised yesterday when the similar question was put to the other candidates for leadership positions, that there is actually a sexual harassment policy that is due to be disseminated to the rest of the judiciary shortly, which would be a guideline. But if he wants to go ahead and answer, then he should, without the benefit of that policy.
Yeah, without the benefit of, yes.
Sorry, are you going to answer the question, Judge Clearly?
Without the benefit of the policy, Chief Justice.
Well, there have been cases, there are pending cases now of sexual harassment, yes, without a sexual harassment policy.
Yes.
Do you know how the institution has been dealing with them? And if you don't know, then you can just say.
Well, there are structures in place, Chief Justice, that deal with those matters. In the establishment, there are structures in place that deal with those matters. I'm trying to think, if the matter has to come before me, at what stage will it be because they have failed, whatever the position? I'm not sure. Well, I'm going to respond to that because there are structures in place in establishments that deal with those matters, sexual harassment matters.
Do you know which structures those are?
If a matter involving a sexual harassment has been reported, it goes to a particular manager in that section.
All right. Just let me interpose, Commissioner Shabagunda.
Yes.
Please. You absolutely correct in the case of officials.
Yes.
In the department.
Yes. Yeah.
The Office of the Chief Justice. Now, let's say an usher or a judge's secretary accuses a judge.
I see.
Of sexual harassment. What happens in that case?
Oh, okay. That matter will be reported to the judge president, and if the judge president sees it fit to delegate the matter to me for investigation, I'm more than welcome to do that.
CJ, could I pose a follow-up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry,
it's Commissioner Hassan.
It's Commissioner Pillay first. She raised her hand first.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge Clearly.
Good morning. Good morning.
Judge Clearly, you included in your application a paper entitled Diversity at the Workplace.
Yes.
And one of the issues you deal with in that paper is the fact that managers in what you call the legal fraternity must take steps to protect equal opportunity in the workplace by eliminating unfair discrimination. I'm a bit surprised that you seem taken aback by questions relating to sexual harassment. Now that you're applying to become one of the so-called managers in the legal fraternity, did you identify sexual harassment as being one of the barriers to equality in the workplace?
I take your point. I take your point, and I agree entirely with you. Yes, yeah, sexual harassment is one of the barriers at the workplace. But as I already indicated earlier on, that if matters of that nature will have to be reported to the head of the office, and the head of the office is the judge president. And if the judge president sees it fit to delegate that matter to me, then I'll deal with it.
You see, Judge Celi, you talk about two things. You talk about identifying barriers,
Yes.
and then you talk about identifying steps in order to address those barriers.
Yes.
Now, you say you accept that sexual harassment must be identified as a barrier.
Of course,
but have
yes.
you considered, bearing in mind that you put up the diversity at the workplace
Yes.
paper,
Yes.
have you considered what kind of steps should be adopted in order to address the barriers? And I just want to add a second thing. Were you involved in the formulation of the sexual harassment policy, the judiciary's sexual harassment policy?
No, I wasn't involved in that.
Let us assume that the judge president is on leave for a year, and so it comes to you.
Yes, I'll deal with that, Commissioner Mwaitobi. I'll deal with it hands-on, head-on.
CJ, may I pose my follow-up?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Judge. I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you. I'm a junior or maybe a clerk of the court. I've experienced sexual harassment. Someone said something or touched me inappropriately, and I come to you
Yes,
as the judge president, the deputy judge president, rather.
right.
What are your next steps when I've complained to you?
You come to me to report sexual
I come
harassment?
expressly to you
Yes.
because let's assume the judge president's indisposed. I'm coming to you. What are you going to do to deal with it?
I'm going to call the person who is alleged to have sexually harassed you. I'm going to make an inquiry. Sorry, I'm going to conduct a mini investigation. If I see fit, then I'm going to suggest that that person is suspended pending the finalization of the investigation.
Okay, follow-up, Chief Justice.
In terms of which legal instrument would you exercise those powers? Do you know? If you don't, you can just say so.
I don't.
Yeah.
Can I make a follow-up, Chief Justice? So, Judge Tilu, I mean, just to get off this question, do you accept that sexual harassment by itself constitutes a misconduct which should be reportable to the Judicial Service Commission for
That's right.
investigation?
Yes,
And that is what you would do.
yes.
Thank you. Why don't you say so? Why don't you simply say so? I mean, so that you get off this matter.
You are feeding the candidate the answer now, Commissioner. Yes.
Well, he says he's going to suspend the culprit himself.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Shabangumda, we just hijacked
Yeah.
your
CJ, I think
time.
I will leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.